Hey, are you guys ever hypercritical of yourselves? Because I find myself doing that a lot. So like when I make these videos, right now it's a Sunday, but this could very well be posted on a Thursday. I don't know when. But I have a lot of videos stored up that I'm trying to release and catch up on. I'm trying to release like 2 a day, but you know, so I'm kind of far ahead. So I have to listen to the playback of these things like a week later, because I might not remember exactly what I was talking about on that video. So I listen to that and I see all the little faults and things. You know, obviously the background noise bothers me, but I think that could be alleviated with a professional microphone. I just don't know where I'm going to clip the damn thing, because I am out here trying to improve my tan, which, you know, I guess if you really wanted to boil it down, you could say it's for vanity reasons. But my purpose here is I'm trying to get as tan as possible prior to the bodybuilding show. So when it comes time to spray tan me, I'm not pasty white, because if I was pasty white, they'd have to put more layers of the spray tan on me. And more layers means I could take away detail from my physique, especially when I'm at like 3% body fat, because that's when I want to show off all the detail. So hopefully, you know, you could say that's for vanity reasons, just a little bit different. You know, I'm not out here trying to show off to random people. I'm trying to improve the tan so I could do better in performance. But yes, that's one thing. But anyway, so like another thing too, obviously my breathing's a little bit labored because I'm currently walking outside for cardio. But just, you know, it kind of bothers me jumping from point to point in these videos. It's kind of hard to stay on track because I'm doing a physical activity while I'm talking. So like occasionally I'll kind of lose the point I was trying to get to. Whereas when I film truck videos when I'm at work, you know, there's the noise from the truck that may or may not need to get edited out, but it's also later in the day. And that brings me to my next issue, being hypercritical of myself is, you know, the words are flowing a lot more enthusiastically and concise out of my mouth when I'm filming later in the day, especially when I'm at work. Whereas like right now, I kind of feel like the enthusiasm is not really there, even though I want it to be, and things are a little bit choppy, because I literally am just waking up when I do this. This is like an actual representation of what I'm doing. It's not that bullshit you see other people do or other bodybuilders do, where they film a fake video of them driving to the gym and then they have to get out of their car and pick up their camera they film themselves driving off with, or they film a fake video of them waking up in the morning. I don't really like that shit. This is legitimate here. This is what I'm doing. This is how I look while I do it. And it does bother me that I look pretty disheveled and gross, but I think things are going to improve over time. And I mean, I'm not going to be continuing this line of videos after the competition. While it's fun to kind of riff like I'm on a podcast and all that, I'd like to talk about more specific topics later on and make the videos primarily about them. Because when you see one of these videos, it's like, oh, bodybuilding prep, day 77, blah, 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 like just some random title. And honestly, it just feels like a continuation of some boring series you might not be interested in watching. But if you see a video where it's like, how much protein should we consume? Like, you know, the video's about that. You know, that's what you're going to when you click on it. And people are able to parse out what they want to watch a lot better. Because if you just see some random video in a series, you're probably less inclined to click on it because you haven't been following it from the start, or you don't care to. So there is that. But so, you know, those are kind of the things floating around in my head. Thanks for listening to 4 minutes of me bitching about myself. I appreciate that. And I am definitely encountering a problem while I'm prepping. Maybe some of you could relate to this, but you know, I have a ton of energy right now. I'm hungry, but my body still has a lot of fat to lose, and I'm doing a ton of activity every day. So I'm in a perfect spot for me to be energetic. And due to that, I kind of overcommit myself to things because I have so much energy now. If someone asks me if I could help or do something, my immediate answer is, yeah, of course. Because I have the energy to do it. But if you do that too many times, you're now having to reorganize your schedule to accommodate extra stuff you added in. So something definitely to like do out of the kindness of your heart, but you got to regulate that. Because if I spend all my time helping other people, how am I going to help myself? That's at least how I think about it. And I think probably a lot of people could relate out there. Eventually, I'm going to get to a point where I'm a lot more moody and kind of maybe more reserved. And generally, that's just coming out of exhaustion there, because you got to figure. So, like, I'll give an example. Like, over the past 2 weeks, I've lost 15 pounds. A lot of that's water, but I've lost 15 pounds. And I'm doing a lot. I'm barely eating. Like, my second meal, well, my first meal, I'm only having 30 grams of oatmeal, which is basically nothing. That's like 4 big spoonfuls. And then meal 2, I'm having like 7 ounces of chicken and 80 grams of rice, which is like 2 bites of. So there's not a lot of food. And I'm doing 40 minutes of cardio to start the day. I'm lifting later on. And then I'm doing 35 minutes of stairs. So that's a lot of activity that absolutely makes sense of why I lost 15 pounds in the last 2 weeks. But over the course of this whole prep, I'm going to be getting leaner and leaner past the point that my body ever wants to get to. So I'm gonna be very exhausted, especially around like the 6 week out mark, like 6 weeks to the show day. I'm gonna be so out of it, it's absolutely going to affect my demeanor. But it's my choice if I decide to let that affect other people. Because even though you're feeling like crap, you don't have to respond like a jerk to people and make them not want to be around you. It helps to just communicate how you're currently feeling, and doing so in a caring way, which is difficult because sometimes you have to remind yourself to be nice to the people you love. And it's sad that we have to do that, but you're not exactly present in conscience when you're saying mean things to people. You kind of have like, it's kind of like lighting a fuse on a tiny firework, right? You're getting aggravated and the thing blows up, and it's just kind of like you boiling over with frustration, and then you lash out words out of your mouth, and you're doing it to get the situation over with. Well, but it's leaving a lasting impression on the other person, whereas it's just kind of a thing that's being like an everyday like instance that's being like brushed over like it's nothing to you. And that'll definitely over time make people not want to be around you. And you don't want to change the dynamic you have with your loved ones while you're doing something like a bodybuilding prep, because once it's over, you're going to be back to normal. You're going to be eating more food, feeling better. So why would you irreparably alter relationships in your life over some type of way that you're feeling that's short term? You're not going to feel like this forever. So I say all this and I know all this, but I also have to remind myself of that at times. It's very hard to catch yourself in the moment when you're feeling all those things, but that's the most important time too, because that's the moment that decides how you're going to set the rhythm for the rest of whatever conversation you're having. And I think all of us want to be nice to other people. I'm sure maybe there's people in our lives we don't want to be nice to. I have a few of those. But generally, the people every day that I want to see, like, I want to be nice to them. They matter to me. I care enough to see them every day. And they bring more joy to my life than harm, which is why they are my loved ones. You got to just remind yourself of that stuff, because if you don't, you're going to be hearing about shit you said and did that you might not even remember, but whoever you said it to, they fucking remember. And they're probably going to bring it up to you after you're done with the whole damn thing you're doing. So you imagine you finish a bodybuilding show, everything's fine. You start eating more food, you feel like yourself again, and now you're hearing about how much of a fucking piece of shit you were while you were hungry and how you treated people. You're going to feel terrible, like so terribly out of character hearing that stuff, because it's like a mischaracterization of who you are as a person. But you did do that stuff, whether you want to deny it or not. You did that stuff. You said that stuff to people. It's better to just avoid. It's better to avoid having to fix things and just keep them keep things whole in the first place. If you don't break stuff, you don't have to fix it. So try not to break the bonds you have with people around you. Easier said than done, but very doable, and honestly not that hard. If you think about it, like when you're getting really worked up and your head kind of feels like a teapot boiling over, that's a very short-lived feeling, but it's a very extreme one, and it makes you want to lash out. But honestly, if you just catch yourself the moment you start feeling that way, it'll help you take at least enough of a hesitance in whatever would regularly come next, that you're able to have a better outcome out of whatever situation you're in with someone. Just thinking about it for an extra couple seconds is enough to stop you from saying something you don't mean. And it just comes down to, being mindful of yourself and others, which it's surprising how rare that is nowadays, but it seems like everyone's an asshole. But it's hard for me to say the world is like that, because I live in a city that's a cesspool of violence and illegal activity. So people don't see the incentive in being a good person here, or they have a very skewed idea of what it is to be a good person, which is actually, I feel like that's more dangerous than actually like knowing you're a bad person. Because imagine someone's pretty much like a villain, but they think they're the good guy. That is a recipe for more harm than just the guy who knows he's a piece of shit. So it helps to, you gotta like step outside your own field of perspective here. Because I'm in Chicago, like someone in a small town, everyone's probably nicer there. Maybe some stuff similar, but they're not dealing with a lot of the stuff I have to in this big city. And so they're going to have a whole different representation of what they think the world is. And is either of us more right than the other? No, we're not. We have a different, it's like your memories are like a montage of your life, right? And based on things you've heard and viewed, that's what forms them. So if someone else doesn't have all those bad memories you have because they had a better upbringing, their reality is just as real as yours. They just have lived a different movie than you. And the best part about movies is you can change the outcome. Sometimes you watch a movie and it takes a turn you never thought would come. That could be your life as well. It could be in a tragic way, could also be in a great way. You could be someone who's like unrecognizable to what you were 5 years ago, because you've done the work, you've put in the work to grow. And people, especially people who stuck around and they've seen you go through the trials and tribulations of your life, they respect you tenfold for that. Because I think, actual smart individuals, they realize how hard that is to do, to change, and they will commend you for it. But you can't treat people so terribly that now no one's around to see you changed. But that's also could be a real possibility too. You could be so much of a jerk that people cut you off, and now, like, even though you're better, you have to start new bonds with people, not fix old ones. So a lot of life is pretty much just a hard pill to swallow, basically. But it's very much worth living. And I felt like it wasn't at a lot of times in my life. Then I realized that I was being miserable for no reason. Like, I could have made the easy choice to find happiness in the things around me, but I chose to only see the bad stuff. And that is basically how you become a lifelong pessimist, which I'm definitely cynical. Pessimism, yeah, you could probably attribute that to my worldview, or at least how I view others. But in general, I'm optimistic about the rest of my life. And no one has to, it's a lot of different ways to feel. So it's kind of weird nowadays. Everyone thinks that you have to be one extreme thing all the time. So if you're a pessimist, like, that's just who you are all the time. If you're an optimist, they think the same. But the truth is, things are a lot more convoluted than that. There's a lot more complexity to why people think and feel what they feel. So there's a lot more to be taken into account instead of just simplifying everything and reducing it to whatever narrative you'd like it to fit. And just realize life is like a puzzle. It's very confusing. A lot of things look differently than you anticipated, and there's no one right way to start solving it. But anyway, guys, I guess we could kind of veer off of that topic now. I do greatly care about other people doing well in their lives, because I wouldn't allow myself to enjoy my life for the longest time. So when I see people like they're taking the hard steps and improving themselves in real time, I really like that, whether I know them or not. It's very easy to choose to take the bad path. That's probably the most readily available option there is. You could choose to let bad things affect you in a way where now you start putting that energy out into the world on other people that don't deserve it. And now you're damaging many other people, all because you wanted to take the easy way out of feeling discomfort. And that's really embarrassing. Imagine affecting people's long-term outlooks on life because you wanted to be a jerk so that way you could hurt people before they hurt you. And that's a lot of people out there that operate that way. I don't have those kinds of people around me, but I used to. But you live and you learn. Some people, they really don't learn though, and it will surprise you. I know one guy, he's in his late 30s, and this dude, he seems like he has learned absolutely no lessons in his life and continues to make the same fuck ups. And he's made the same fuck ups over 10 times a piece. So like the lesson's lost at this point. Like he chose every option to not improve and is stuck miserable. And I avoid a lot of conversations with that guy because he wants to be very friendly with everyone, but honestly, he's like a fucking leech. He wants to, pull the energy out of other people and leave all the fucking baggage he wants to dump on anyone who will listen. And I can't, instead of just being directly rude because I don't want to have an amicable, or I think that's the wrong word to use, I have a very sour rapport with that person going forward, but I definitely do avoid conversation quite a bit because I am like deeply opposed to everything that guy believes and lives his life by. It's terrible. There's like very simple solutions to improving this guy's life, and he chooses not to take them. And I'm able to confidently say all that stuff because the guy does not shut the fuck up. So, even people that don't want to listen, he will not stop talking. And it's kind of sad, really, because when you think about someone that's so miserable and doesn't learn lessons, at one point they were a kid and they didn't have any of that bad stuff in them. And then life just started taking its toll until it warped this person into some weird shell of themselves. You could be someone who wants to save everybody, but honestly, you're putting out so much energy into other people when you do that. How are you making yourself any better? Some people think they are through the service, but that's not true. You're just neglecting your own issues by focusing on others. And while you could do a great deal of good in the world that way, you have to be whole as yourself before you can make someone else whole for them. I dated a girl who was a therapist years ago. She said this saying I really liked is, it was that you can't pour water from an empty glass. So if all of your energy is completely sucked dry, how are you going to share that helpfulness with other people when you don't have any water to pour? It's gone. And it's to tell you to take care of yourself before you could take care of others. And people hate to hear that, especially if you're going through a very hard time in your life. Those people don't want to fucking hear that shit. They want to take whatever escapist mindset they can and remove the current thoughts about their situation and displace them into helping someone else. Which I said you could do some good that way. For how long? Probably not much. But they're also like actively tearing themselves down at a faster rate by letting their problems fester and not come to a resolve. And I see all these different archetypes of people out there. And it's funny because I don't have life any more figured out than they do, but I at least have figured out important parts that they haven't. And I wish I could like plug my brain into theirs like a USB and just share the experience and let them decide what to do with it. Because if you had like a first-hand experience account of life the way I have, you'd be able to appreciate things a lot more and not allow yourself to feel so fucking bad all the time. And that's really what I wish I could do. Once you realize you could be extremely happy and just choose not to wallow in your own misery, that's when you start realizing you wasted so much time not enjoying all the little things in life. An added benefit, though, is that I enjoy everything so much more now because I had the opposite perspective before, so I have better context for how much it means to me. So anyway, guys, I know this is a little more, it's like it's kind of a different kind of video, a little bit more thoughtful, talking about some random stuff. But anyway, if anyone else has some kind of similar experience or, fucking Christ, you're gonna blow your horn like that coming out of an alley. If anyone else has like a similar experience, you know, I'd love to hear about it. Or maybe you have a perspective that you've grown through an experience and that's making you maybe disagree or agree in one way or another. I'd love to hear about it. You know, hopefully everyone's respectful, but you know, I'm not married to my ideas. If someone has some very thought-provoking thing to say, I'm not going to dismiss them because I think my way is right. I want to hear people out, and if I'm wrong about something, I'm man enough to accept that, learn, move on, and give people credit for being right. It leads to a lot better interactions with others. So anyway, guys, yeah, like, comment, I don't want to say, it's so weird to say that, like, comment, and subscribe. But I guess this is a YouTube channel. So anyway, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my other stuff if you want, or don't. I don't really care. And I'll see you on the next one.